Hi everyone, it's Raylene Bartlett calling you from RTO Doctor. Oh, gee, I just realised I'm not on the phone. It's been a long day for me. Tonight I would like to talk to you about a question but also a tip and hopefully bring you something to think about. I've had another request today from a potential client asking me if they really needed to become an RTO, which led me to thinking about some of the clients that I've had over the years and some of the questions that they've asked, and also some of the students that I've had the pleasure of meeting and teaching over a period of time, who've also asked the question, do I really need that qualification? And so tonight what I'd like to talk to you about is for you really to think about, if you're a provider or wanting to become a registered training organisation, what is it about being an RTO that you really want to become an RTO for? Or what is it about delivering a qualification that really pushes you to want to become an RTO or to deliver a qualification? And is it really that you need to develop a qualification to issue? More and more people are undertaking non-accredited training in Australia, primarily because they don't necessarily need a qualification to demonstrate their competency in a certain skill area. They don't need the qualification to demonstrate their knowledge. And when we look at the vocational education training sector and people who are looking to register as an RTO or a registered training organisation, I often say to them, what is it that you really want to achieve here? Why do you want to become an RTO? Is it that you absolutely have to become an RTO, or can you do what you're doing without necessarily issuing a nationally recognised qualification? Why is it necessary to be an RTO? And I say that in all sincerity because the vocational education training sector in Australia is one of the most highly regulated industries in the country, and it's becoming more and more difficult and challenging every day, even for the more experienced providers to survive in this severe regulatory environment. It's also an industry area and a sector at the moment that has been under the microscope for several years and is constantly in the media with negative stories and people who are questioning the validity of qualifications that are being issued, myself included. I also have a struggle sometimes in finding people who genuinely do have the knowledge and skills that one would expect to have if they've genuinely completed the qualification that they have in accordance with the training package requirements. So like everybody else out there, I too fit in the same category. Can I really trust the quality that is coming out of the vocational education training sector at the moment? And do I want to be a part of that? And I guess that's the biggest question that I'm asking you this evening is, what is it that you're doing that makes you want to be an RTO or makes you think you have to be an RTO? So many years ago, I think it was around about 2009, 2010, I was approached to develop a course for accreditation. And this course was in a niche area to do with Indigenous services. And this particular provider had been delivering non-accredited training in this area for a significant number of years, for most of her career, in fact, and I believe it was around 15, 20 years. And she was considered an expert in her field around the country, recognised sometimes internationally, I believe. And she invested a significant amount of money, talking thousands and thousands of dollars, into developing this course for accreditation. Now, one of the reasons why that course was developed for accreditation was so that the people who were using the course could access government funding. If they didn't have a nationally recognised qualification, then they would no longer be able to use her course. So she went ahead and she invested all of this money into developing this course for accreditation, went through the difficult process of trying to translate everything that she'd been doing as an expert in the area of Indigenous services and personal welfare and well-being for over 15 years into a course that eventually got accredited. However, after the 5-year accreditation expired, what she realised was that it didn't achieve the result that she wanted. So with this particular qualification, once it was actually accredited, the employers who were seeking the qualification and were asking for it to be accredited so that they could access the funding, those employers no longer wanted to employ these people with this qualification because the funding had been pulled. So she had lost a significant amount of money that she had invested in the development of this qualification for accreditation. The only way she could deliver that qualification was to become a registered training organisation, because she didn't want to risk losing the intellectual property that she owned by allowing somebody else to purchase the licence and put it on their own scope of registration. So in actual fact, this entire exercise ended up costing her in the vicinity of $30,000 to $40,000 by the time it was all over. And then in the end, not one of the employers who begged her to seek accreditation actually went ahead and engaged her for the nationally recognised course. Now, I don't know whether today she's still going out and delivering this as non-accredited training, but I guess it brings me back to the original question. Do you really need that qualification, and do you really need to become an RTO to do what you're doing? Another example is a good friend of mine who has been developing an internationally innovative course in aquatherapy in Australia. Nobody else in the world has got a course like it that is integrating a whole range of different modalities for the physical health and well-being of the Australian community. However, due to a significant number of hurdles and the inability of this person to be able to get a whole range of rebates through private health insurance providers and things like that, it's becoming increasingly difficult to get through all the bureaucracy and red tape. And not only through the bureaucracy and red tape for developing the course for accreditation, but also then she needs to decide whether or not she wants to become an RTO and operate in this increasingly difficult regulatory environment that we have in Australia. So what we have there is an expert who is internationally recognised, who has decided, you know what, this sector is just too hard and I'm not prepared to lose any more time and money on developing a course that potentially no one will be able to use anyway. And so she continues to deliver the non-accredited training that she's done so well for many, many years internationally and is recognised internationally for. Because at the end of the day, nobody needs the nationally recognised qualification. And because nobody needs the qualification and they will use those services anyway, she doesn't need to become a registered training organisation. So if you're offering non-accredited training and short courses and you want to issue a certificate of attendance or a certificate of participation, not necessarily a certificate for in whatever or a diploma of whatever, then there's no reason why you need to become an RTO and there's no reason why you need to issue a qualification. You can sometimes issue courses online, face-to-face, in a whole range of different modalities and achieve a very similar and more acceptable outcome for industry without going through the headaches of being an RTO. If you have any questions in relation to what we've been speaking about tonight, please don't hesitate to contact us, leave a comment below. Otherwise, we look forward to speaking with you again tomorrow with another 30 days, 30 tips.